Hi, and welcome to this week's mini pick a card reading. I'm really excited about this topic because I've never done anything like this before, and I think it's a really cool idea. So this week it is you pick the question, all right? And I want to give you some examples of what I mean by that. You can ask a very open-ended question like, what are his feelings for me, or what kind of job would I be good in? Or you could ask a very binary yes-no question like, does he love me? Or would I make a good psychologist? That kind of thing, right? The question is up to you, all right? And of course, you can ask multiple questions if you'd like. I do want to say from the very beginning exactly which cards I'm using, okay? I'm using the answer deck. This is out of print and it's kind of hard to find. I do know that there is one copy of this available on Etsy right now for $75. So keep that in mind. You know, we've got Sea Melodies. That's going to be our advice card. Okay. We have the Crystal Ball Pocket Oracle. Okay. And we will have some Rider-Waite tarot cards. Okay. So that said, let's go ahead and name our piles. Okay. Pile number 1 is the red flower. Pile number 2 is the pink gemstone. Pile number 3 is the black flower. Pile number 4 is the purple gemstone. Pile number 5 is the green flower. Pile number 6 is the white gemstone. Pile number 7 is the yellow flower. Pile number 8 is the brown gemstone. And pile number 9 is the blue flower. So while you're taking your time to ask your question and focus on which deck will answer that particular question, I do want to mention that I do post these mini readings every Wednesday. And what I like about them is that, first off, I get to have a little fun with my miniature decks, okay? I don't use them in my other readings. And second, I like to be able to give people more options. I just can't do it every single time because these are free public readings and all of that, and I just don't have enough time to do basically 9 different piles every single time that I make a video. So I like that, and generally these go real fast, but this time I think it's going to go by a little bit slower comparatively, just because we've got so many cards in the mix, okay? But generally they're faster too. And again, I post these every Wednesday. That said, go ahead and pause if you have not gotten all of your questions and the corresponding piles figured out yet. Otherwise, we're going to start with pile number 1 here in just a bit. Okay, as always, I'm going to move these piles a little bit out of the way so I can spread the cards out better. Okay. All right, hi pile number 1, those that picked the red flower. The answer to your question is no need to worry. Don't worry about this. It looks like things are okay. Okay, so it seems like, okay, this makes sense too. We've got the 7 of Swords, okay, and we have the 6 of Wands, okay. We have communication, and we have scandal, all right, and then we have patience. Okay, so the advice is no need to worry, or the answer is no need to worry, and the advice is it just needs a little bit more time, okay? The clarification here is that there's something that's going on that shouldn't be going on in this situation. It could be it could be literally a scandal, or it could be just something that's not supposed to be there, okay? Just something that is a little off in the situation. When we have the 7 of Swords, we've got somebody kind of sneaking into the enemy camp and stealing the swords. At least that's one story that this card can tell. And with this particular combination, I kind of like that because it makes sense. You know, we've got some kind of scandal. It could be even, and this is not going to be true for all of my viewers, but it could be that somebody's stealing something away from someone else, okay? So this could be a person, or maybe a material possession, or maybe even an idea, okay? And then we have success, combined with communication. So communication is what needs to happen in a situation in order for it to be successful. I do feel like this is going to be successful though, because not only do we have don't worry about it, but we also have, you know, it'll just take a little bit of time, and we do have this success card, okay? So that's what I would say about your question. All right, guys, moving on to pile number 2. Hi, those of you who picked the pink gemstone. The answer to your question is no. And we have breathe. Okay, so what they're telling is you've got to kind of step back and like take a moment before anything else goes forward. Let's see what the clarity cards are. We've got clarity, wealth, the 2 of Wands, and the Hangman. Okay. All right, actually, I feel like these go together like this. Okay, so we have a situation right now where it's like you need a new perspective on this. So that's, you know, that's what the breathe is, okay? The breathe is talking about how you need to kind of step back and just kind of think, is there another way of getting maybe what I want in this situation, or is there another way of doing this? Or is this, you know, or is this the only thing I can think of? If this is the only thing you can think of and there's no other way that comes to mind, then no, this situation isn't going to be resolved. Or it won't be resolved until you do get to that point. Or if there's another person involved, it might resolve if that other person gets to that point too, okay? But basically, more clarity is needed. People that are connected to the situation need to kind of step back and really reevaluate mostly their priorities and what they think is true about the situation. I feel like somebody's not being completely honest with themselves in this situation. And I don't get that with a negative feeling or a positive feeling. It's just very neutral. So it's probably somebody who isn't being honest with themselves, but they don't even realize it, you know, that kind of thing. We have wealth, and the card that I consider this a very, very indicative of traveling. I know that the 2 of Wands, I do want to acknowledge the 2 of Wands is a little bit more indicative maybe, but I always think about traveling when I think about this. But basically, we've got somebody who wants to move forward and, you know, wants to move forward passionately and go out, you know. So this might be an idea or a person, you know, or some aspect of the situation. But they're leaving something out, and I think it's that's something out that they're leaving that. It's like, that's what needs to be addressed. That's what needs to be taken care of. And that would probably be representative of whatever it is they're not, aware of. And I keep saying there, I really feel like for most of you, this is not going to be describing you, the viewers. It's going to be describing somebody else that's connected to the situation. However, I do want to mention that some of you, it's going to be you. And you guys will know the difference. Then we also have wealth. So we're looking at a lot of financial success, somebody becoming worldly. So this would be somebody who would maybe be known internationally, that kind of thing. Or it could just be somebody traveling around a lot, you know. But we do have some wealth, and it's interesting that we've got a car here, so that, because that also means traveling for me. So another aspect of the situation might be that there needs to be travel. Like, it's no, if you're going to stay in the same spot, but if you travel, then the answer would change, that kind of thing. All right. But it's like, just breathe, take a moment to, really meditate on it, journal about it, that kind of thing, and try to look for a new angle, because I really think that this is going to be fine as long as that new angle is found. Okay. All right. Hi, those of you who picked pile number 3, the black flower, the answer is you're going in the right direction. All right. And your advice is Okay, so it says dive, but it's basically, take that risk, jump in, that kind of thing. All right, so let's look at the clarifying cards. We have forgiveness, we have storm, okay. We have the 8 of Wands and the 7 of Wands. Okay, so this kind of makes sense to me here. Okay, so you're going in the right direction. So generally you're on track right now, okay? I see a lot of passion here though. When we have 2 wand energies and a storm, that is like passion incarnate, right? Oh my goodness. So, what I think that we need to focus on in order to get to that point is let that passion propel you, because this is going to happen quickly. Whatever your question has to do with, if there's any kind of timing, it's going to happen very quickly. It's so quickly that, I mean, it would be ridiculous to even put a time frame on it, because it would be probably in the next week, that kind of thing, right? I'm not saying that that's going to be the time frame for all of you. I just want to be clear there, but the eight of rods, denotes that things are going to happen so quickly. I mean, the person in this card is moving so quickly they're not even in the card anymore, right? But there are some things that are a little that somebody's feeling a little defensive about. It might be you, it might be somebody else involved in the situation. What you or this other person needs to do is learn how to forgive themselves, okay? This is about accepting humanity in others and accepting humanity in yourself, because everybody makes mistakes. That's kind of like a rule. That's like a law, okay? We're human, and it's kind of like what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to make mistakes. It's just, are we going to learn from them or not? When you trust yourself to be able to learn from your mistakes, that's when you can forgive yourself, okay? That's going to be always true for you. Now, forgiveness of others is going to be a little bit more difficult. Forgiveness of others has more to do with recognizing your own fallacies in the other person and recognizing the sincere desire to not want to do that again. Okay, so that gets a little bit more complicated, but I do feel like this is aimed at the self, because this card is about defensiveness, and most people don't feel defensive unless they have like maybe a guilty conscience, or they have something that they haven't yet said, or they haven't taken care of yet, that kind of thing. So keep that in mind, and no judgment at all, okay? I get defensive all the time, but I just wanted to mention that, okay? So we've got this storm and this 8 of Wands. I think that's so great. I mean, I really do. I think it's so great, because it's just so passionate. It's just so like, I'm gonna just take what I want in this situation, I mean, one thing that is just so powerful about storms is that they don't apologize for being themselves, right? Now, you don't have to, be a big thunderstorm that with lightning and thunder that wakes my 7-year-old up in the middle of the night. You could be like a nice summer, a nice summer sprinkle or something like that. But basically, let the forces of nature within you guide you. Look to nature also to guide you in its cycles, and there might be something you're missing that has to do with that. And it's okay to be passionate right now. I really like this. I'm actually now wondering what you guys asked, because it's a really, I really like this combination of cards. Alrighty. Okay, those of you who picked the purple pile, here is your reading. All right, so the answer to your question is choose a new direction. Okay, and you have opportunity. Okay, so you have a different opportunity here, and that doesn't mean that you have to leave the situation that you're already in, or whatever it is that you're asking about. It just means that there's something maybe that you're not seeing, and we'll go ahead and look at these cards for clarity. Okay, so we have the Knight of Pentacles, and we have the High Priestess. That would be the thing you're not seeing. It'd be intuition, something mysterious. We have deception, okay, and we have loss. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this isn't this isn't the most positive reading, right? But I do think that what it's counseling towards is choose a new direction that doesn't focus so much on what's not true and doesn't focus so much on what you don't get out of the situation. Choose a new direction that focuses on what's true in the situation, what's material. With this Knight of Pentacles, I know I've switched them twice now, with the Knight of Pentacles who brings reality, you know, who's very, very like stuck in reality and so down to earth that it's almost like this person can't, like, okay, I'm exaggerating, but it's like this person can't have an imagination, something like that. It's like choose a new direction where instead of self-deception, you're being brutally honest with yourself about what's going on, and instead of looking at what you don't have, look at what you're missing. Look at what you're missing that you do have in this situation. Because I really think that whether you end up staying in this situation or not, or taking this a new opportunity, maybe that's outside of the situation, because you know you could either stay in the situation and find a new opportunity, or you can take a new opportunity. Okay, and that's going to vary depending on which audience member you are. Okay, but the way to get this positive opportunity is to try to focus more on the positives in the situation. Really plant your feet on the ground and look at what's actually happening in real life, basically. And then also, but also remember that you do have an intuitive process that is working for you as well. Now I think that I've probably repeated this a lot of times on my channel, but it's so true, and I think it's so important to remind people of this. Sometimes people get so in their head and so caught up in their visions and all of that, that they don't realize that they're not feeding their intuition. What they're doing is they're just actually kind of making things up and getting to that point where they're disconnected, right? The best way, the best way to feed your intuition, if this isn't happening, is to plant your feet on the ground and look around you, because it's the information you take in through your senses that supply your mind, that supply your subconscious, your higher self, spirit, with the information that basically all goes in the bag, and then you shake the bag around and you throw out all the pieces, and somehow intuition's what finds that pattern among those pieces. Okay, so you need to be feeding yourself from like reality, from what is going on around you, from this crystal. It's kind of cold, and it's a quartz crystal. It's not perfect, you know, I can kind of see through it. I can see my finger through it, you know, like that kind of thing. You know, feel it and experience it, and that will feed your intuition so much better than any kind of more abstract thing could. You know, at least that's my experience. Now everybody's journey is going to be different, but I just think that that's so important, and I think that it applies to this. That's why I'm saying it, because we've got that. For those of you who are going through a situation where you are being deceived by somebody else, or this is a loss for you, you've gone through some kind of loss, I think that one thing you can take from this is that you will get to that point where you'll be able to be stable, okay? And you will be able to trust again, and you will have more opportunities, better opportunities, because I do see that as kind of like an underlying story for maybe 10% of my viewers, okay? So just wanted to make sure I talked about that as well. Alrighty. Okay, hi, those of you who picked the green flower, the answer to your question is unlikely. Okay, let's see what your advice is. Journey. Okay, so either you might have to take a literal physical journey in order for this to happen, or you might, you know, maybe this isn't part of your path, your spiritual path, or maybe that's later on in the journey, or you know, or something like that. Maybe you need to kind of change directions in order for this to go from unlikely to yes, or unlikely to no, right? Let's go ahead and look at these cards for clarification. Okay, so somebody's holding on really hard. Okay, yeah, we've got 2 cards that for me represent holding on real hard. Yeah. And then we have mistake. Okay, there was a mistake made. Okay, and so that person doesn't want to look foolish. Okay, all right, this is like this. Okay, so this person, obviously in the 4 of Pentacles, is it represents hoarding. You know, it can also represent clinginess if it's in a relationship. It can also represent possessiveness. It can also just represent that somebody's kind of holding on to something a little bit too tight. You know, it depends on what situation you asked about. The reason that people do this, though, is because they're afraid. You know, they don't, like when they want to protect something, for example, they're afraid that that thing is vulnerable. When they want to make sure they hoard their resources, for example, they just want to make sure they have enough because sometime in their life they felt like they didn't have enough. And there's nothing wrong with that. It is a very natural human response. So if anybody tells you that you're, I don't know, clingy or you whatever they might say that's kind of aligned with the energy of this card, don't even let it bother you because they are too about something, you know. But basically, the motivator behind this is that they don't want to appear foolish. They don't want to make a mistake. They don't want to. So I feel that in this particular situation, a person or there's something about the situation where there's a risk of looking foolish, and a person in this situation doesn't want to look foolish, right? And this person's also thinking about previous mistakes they've made and how much it hurt them in the past. Here's the deal with this particular reading, though. It's like both, all 4 of these cards are really focused on, it's focused on what if I look dumb and I don't want to make a mistake like I did in the past, but I don't feel that present there. I don't feel like, but what am I going to do? And so I feel like in this situation, gosh, this is going to sound so abstract. And since I don't know what your questions are, it feels kind of crazy saying this, but I feel like this situation is kind of stuck in between the past and the future. But it's not in the present, right? I feel like it's just kind of oscillating between let's focus on the past, and let's focus on the future, but not really on the journey itself, on the path itself, on what is actually going on. So, that said, let's say this is going to represent the answer. Okay, so the answer to getting out of this frame of mind is to put yourself squarely in the present moment, and when you think, what if I make a mistake, you can say, well, what if I succeed? If you say, what if I look foolish, you could say, what if I look awesome? I think that it really can be as simple as that for some of you guys. I think that for others, this is going to be a much more complicated situation that, an easy answer like that might not be applicable. I mean, it just might not be able to be applied. The bottom line that I'm seeing here, though, for everybody, this is going to apply to everybody, is that this situation isn't going to be fruitful unless this energy is changed somehow. And I feel like this energy is changed by focusing on where one is in this moment in their journey, and where you want to be, yes, and where you have been, yeah, that's important, but not focusing on what am I going to mess up in the future, or what do I need to hold on to because my past, has shown me that I might, look foolish, or I might, need my resources, or whatever it is. It feels more like stop and see what is right now. And I feel like that isness oh, I feel so weird saying this. I feel that isness is what needs to happen. All right? I'm interested in what you guys asked for this pile, because that was a kind of an interesting read for me. Alrighty, guys. Hopefully that made sense. Okay, those of you who picked the white stone, The answer to your question is yes. Oh, look at that. Isn't that pretty? I like that. And your, your advice card is wild, believe in your otherworldly beauty. Wow. This is like kind of encouraging you to go with your passion right now, okay? So we have hope and solitude. Oh, okay, I see what's going on. We've got the lovers and the world. So most of you probably asked about love, I'm assuming. Okay, it might be about partnership. It might be like a business partner, or it might be about making a new contract with somebody or something like that. But the lovers, for me, are increasingly representing this kind of divine partnership that is meant to be. There's some kind of perpetuality to the Lovers card that I keep seeing lately, and I really feel that applies to this particular reading very well. Some of you guys, if you're asking about another person, you might not be together right now, because when I get the World card, I also get that you guys might be in different places in the world. So I take that literally in that sense. Or it could just be that you guys want to spend the rest of your journey together, which the Fool's journey through the major arcana ends with the World, with having what the Fool set out to have. So the answer to your question is yes. There's, if you're wondering, is there even hope for the situation? Yes, there is, absolutely. This is real. Whatever it is, this is real, and it really is as good as you think it is, okay? Regardless of whether it's a love situation or something else, it really is as good as you think it is. There is hope for this. If we've got solitude, somebody needs to take some more time to think about things. It might just be that a person that might apply to you, but somebody needs to, it's like they need air to breathe. And there's and it's not supposed to be negative. It's just, that's the way it is. And so yeah, I mean, basically follow your passion in this situation, and you're not going to go wrong. I mean, the answer is yes anyway. And also make sure, if another person is involved in the situation, make sure that they are given, they're given their space if they say that they need some. Because it's not about not wanting to be with you. It's about needing to be alone to kind of, take an evaluation of everything. Otherwise, they won't be able to be present with you when they're with you. If that's what's going on. Yeah, so this looks really good. Oh, I just wanted to say, this might be counseling you to kind of step back from a situation and reevaluate yours, what you want in this situation. Because if it is a love situation, you've got the Lovers, which is, such a great card, is that people can become enmeshed with one another, and then, it gets kind of hard to figure out who wants what in the relationship. I know it might sound really weird, but it's like partners sometimes can't tell where the other begins and the other ends, And when you force that separation, then you can say, okay, this is me all by myself, and these are my desires and my wants in this situation, all of that good stuff, and your person can do that too. So I do want to mention that it would also be something that might be applicable for you. All right? Okay, that is very positive. All right, those of you who picked the yellow flower, here is the answer to your question. Let go. All right. Okay, and communicate. All right, don't let things remain unsaid. It's important that you communicate. I feel like letting go is actually talking about letting go of your inhibitions to not want to communicate. We'll see. We've got power. We've got jealousy. Okay. All right. And we've got the 3 of Pentacles and the 2 of Wands. Okay. This could be let go of jealousy. Okay. Because it's hard to function in any kind of situation if there's a lot of jealousy going on. It could also mean let go if there's something in the situation that, like a person who is overly jealous or something like that too, okay? I feel like for some of you, because this card came out and it has to do with wearing a mask, kind of, or at least that's what the picture is. I think that there might be somebody who's being like a little bit deceitful for you, with you, but it might not necessarily be a negative thing. It might be that they want your attention and they don't want to mess something up. So they're not sharing. Like it would be, for example, somebody who is afraid of sharing what they really feel, that kind of thing, because they care so much, that kind of thing. All right. So be careful about the jealousy issue with the power. I feel like this is more like this situation is very powerful, and that might be why it's hard to let go of it. I'm being told that for some of you, the letting go is what makes this situation actually come back around and seals it, you know? So sometimes when we release a thing that has so much hold on us, we're able then to move forward. And that's what the Two of Wands is all about, is moving forward. So let me tell you more about the Two of Wands and how it represents this. This can represent some family differences, okay? It can also represent difference of political differences and that kind of thing. It's also about culture in general, okay? It's also about going out and, you know, maybe exploring some different perspectives as well. It can indicate a long distance relationship or traveling, something like that. But in general, the character on this card and the energy from this card is all about the decision on whether or not one wants to stay with traditions or one wants to move forward and become a little bit more open, right? At least in this reading, that's what it is. And the desire that the character has is to become more open, because we've got the fire energy, the wand energy, the take action energy, and so that's what this person wants to do. So that's where it's going to go, naturally. And also we've got the Three of Pentacles, and I always think about the Three of Pentacles as the, oh, look at me, aren't I cool? You know, tell me that I'm doing a good job. Am I doing a good job? That kind of thing. It's like somebody in this situation really wants to be praised. So if that's you, communicate. You can say, you know, could I get some feedback on this? You know, especially if it's like a work situation, because, you know, the Pentacles does have to do with work, and material world. But sometimes it's just about, you know, somebody wanting their ego stroked a little bit. Like, do you like me? You know, do you think what I did was cool? You know, that kind of thing. So I also feel like somebody also wants to be reassured in this situation. And again, communication is your, you know, communication is what your advice is. That's what's going to be key to all of this coming together, right? Okay. Okay, so those of you who picked pile 8, the brown stone, this is the answer to your question. Get more information. Interesting. And we have direction. Okay, so trust that you're going in the right direction, okay? Hi guys, sorry for that interruption. My little boy got new shoes and he was so excited about them. Anyway, let's kind of restart, okay? So, the answer to your question is get more information, okay? So, it's like, you know, you're on the right path, you've got it, it's just you've got to collect some more information in order to move forward in a way that will be the best in this situation, okay? So, and we do have, you're going in the right direction too, okay? Okay, so we've got heartbreak and challenge. Okay, we also have the 7 of coins, and we have the 4 of swords. Okay, so let's put the 4 of swords over here. 7 of coins, heartbreak. Heartbreak goes with that. Okay. So, in order to get it more information, what you've got to do is go and like be by yourself in solitude. Rest. First off, rest. This is a card that talks about rest more than solitude. Okay, it can also talk about privacy too. But yeah, you probably aren't getting enough sleep. So first off, it's rest. Okay, but second, it's like rest, but also reflect, and without doing anything, without needing to do anything, reflect on whatever has given you trouble in this situation in the past, because I feel like the getting more information for some of you is going to be the information is actually inside of you. It's like, what are some patterns that you've had in the past that have hurt, that has to do with your question? What are some things that have happened to you that is maybe holding you back in this situation? Because again, this heartbreak card, I don't feel like it means anything that's in the now or in the future. I feel like it really has to do with going back and healing something that you haven't healed yet, and because of that you can't move on. Even though you're on the right path, you're going the right direction. It's just that you've got to deal with some like inner crap first, basically. Okay, so it's like get more information about why you feel the way that you feel in this situation, and get some more information about especially those like kind of darker feelings, like fears and things like that. And then the Seven of Coins, all of the sevens are about kind of reconsidering, like taking a time to kind of reconsider, well, where am I in this? Okay. So when we talk about, like, for example, when we talk about the sword energy, it's like, well, reconsider how you're thinking about this situation, right? Well, this has to do with the material world. It's like maybe another thing that needs to happen is for you or somebody else in the situation to kind of reconsider how to make this a reality, or reconsider financial aspects of a situation, reconsider the material world, reconsider something that is physical that you can touch and hold, like this crystal, and it's cold, and it has 5 points, and all of that kind of stuff. It's clear and I can see through it, that kind of thing. And understand that what's going on for you right now isn't so much an obstacle as it is a challenge. And I know that that's kind of like, well, it's the same thing. It's just putting a spin on it, whatever. It might sound like it. And if that's what you want to believe, go ahead. It's just what I'm getting is that it's like this is like a purposeful challenge. It's like you are being challenged, and if you just say, yeah, okay, I'm going to take the challenge, then that would be going in the right direction. You can always change it, though. You can always say, you know what, this is too hard, I'm not going to do this, because you don't want to waste your time doing something that you don't value, obviously. But I do feel like, of my audience, some of you guys are going to want to just kind of back down from this and be like, you know what, never mind. It's not important enough for me to work for or work at. And for some of you, you're going to be like, okay, all right, so I need to examine my past and kind of reevaluate and be like, okay, I'm going to challenge myself, and that's going to be fine. It really depends on what your question is, which I obviously don't know. and it really depends on what your attitude is towards the subject matter of your question, okay? So keep that in mind too. All right. And finally, those who picked pile number 9, the blue flower, the answer to your question is, this is the sign. Okay, so if you're looking for some kind of sign that you're supposed to do something, pay attention to this reading, okay? Your advice is flow. Just kind of let your worries drift away. Let yourself kind of get into a zone. This could be a zone like the state one gets into when they're dreaming. It could be like a meditative zone. It could be a physical zone like athletes talk about. But just kind of get yourself into a flow state. magicians, some musicians do this, and artists I've noticed when they're in their creative endeavor, they kind of get into a zone too. I'm sure that those of you who've been in it know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's just about being in that point where you're like almost hyper focused, but you're not attached to any kind of outcome. So this is a sign. Let's see. We've got victory, and we've got faith. Okay, and we've got the devil, which means there might be something about this that's a little naughty or forbidden, okay? But we also have the Two of Cups. So, if you're asking about a partnership or a love situation, you're meant to be with this person. This is a big yes for that. If this is like a partnership in business or something like that, yeah, this business is good. This is a good partnership. Okay, but there's something more than just this. It's like you will be successful. Okay, like this victory is coming. Okay, it might take a while, but this victory is coming. The devil, the sign of Capricorn is associated with this, and I'm only mentioning that because I was thinking about it earlier, and I was actually writing a comment back to somebody on my channel, and I one of the examples I used in what I was saying was that the devil is the card associated with Capricorn, which is kind of weird because the Capricorn personality and the traditional meaning of the card don't really seem to go together very well. But have faith, okay? And I think that this might be that you've got to resist something in order to get to this point, you know? But it's like there's so many different ways. It's like the devil card for me has so many different ways of interpreting it that sometimes I kind of get lost in the interpretation, and that's me disclosing that I'm not perfect. I'm good at reading a lot of these symbols and signs, but I'm being told that this is going to have to be something that kind of is open to interpretation for you guys. I mean, I feel like you guys are the ones that need to decide what the devil means. Does it mean give in to the pleasure principle? Does it mean that you feel trapped, but the reality is that you're not? It's an illusion? Because that's one of the stories about the devil card, is that these people are caged somehow, but they're actually not. They're actually not trapped at all. They can unlock themselves whenever they want. Is it that you're going against your morals, maybe? Is it that there's something a little bit taboo about your situation? Do you have any kind of misgivings? It's there's so many different ways that this can manifest, and please feel free to add your own, okay? But I feel like whatever this represents for you, the bottom line is more about faith that you're going to get through this. This is not as important as this, because we've got have faith. You're going to be victorious, and there's going to be some kind of partnership involved in this situation. So even if you asked about something that doesn't have to do with another person, I really feel like this is like there's going to be at least one other person involved in the situation. Those of you who asked a love question about somebody, that person, like, goodness, either you're supposed to be together or that person really wants to be with you, okay? Because it's just so strong here. Oh, I see another sign. Okay, I see another sign that might explain the devil. We've got the wings right here, and the animal or beast right here. Okay, we've got the wings here and the animal or beast. I feel like this is kind of like dedicating yourself to something all day and all night. It's like putting your whole energy into it. Now I'm not encouraging anybody to stress themselves out or anything, but that might be why the devil appeared here. It's like making your life as kind of like a meditation in this situation, if that makes sense, like an active meditation, like living consciously of what you want to create in this situation and kind of getting into that creative flow. Yeah. All right, guys. So I like your reading. Alrighty. Okay, so thank you so much for staying to the end of this reading. Please understand that these are general reads. If you would like a private reading or would like some details in any of your situations, you know, you can ask me any question. You can get that information below. I do have readings available at all price points, so you shouldn't have any trouble finding one that works for you. I just wanted to say also thank you guys so much for supporting me. I just can't thank you guys enough. Your likes and subscribes and your comments, it just gives me the feedback I need to keep me on track. Let me know that I'm doing a good job, okay? And I really appreciate it. Keep it coming so that I know what's working for this channel, all right? Because I love doing this for you guys, and I want to keep doing it. Alrighty? So I will see you at our next reading.